friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do my belated December wrap up. There's so many videos towards the end of the year. I just thought I would eventually post this. So here we are. I read 3 books in the month of December and I pretty much loved all of them. So these are some books that definitely look out for if you're looking for something new to read in the new year that I really liked. So the first book that I'm going to talk to you about is a fantasy book, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is an adult fantasy novel about Paige Mahoney, who works in underground London, and she gets kidnapped and drugged and taken to Oxford. Oxford is this mysterious hidden city that's been hidden for 200 years. There's this other race or these other beings that live there, and they kidnap clairvoyants every 10 years, every bone season, and they use them for different purposes. One of them is to fight these monsters, but it's not very clear on why they keep doing this, and I'm sure as the series continues, I will get to learn more about that. I want to jump into the characters because that's probably one of my favorite things about this book. I really loved the characters, specifically Paige, the warden, and Jackson. The beginning book really talks about Paige and her underground position with Jackson and her other people in her little circle. But then as she gets kidnapped and drugged, that's where she goes to Oxford. There was lots of world building in this. Of course, we had to get to know the gritty and criminal world of London. And then we really got to know Oxford as this hidden city. And even though we didn't get to see a lot of it, or we really didn't understand a lot of it, you really did get to see like the city part and like the outskirts, kind of like the slum area. And I thought that was very interesting. The world building was so rich and so vivid. I really understood the world and how it looked and how it felt. The majority of the plot takes place after Paige is kidnapped and drugged and taken to Oxford. It talks about her training. It talks about her purpose, what she can do, expanding her abilities. But overall, the story arc of The Bone Season was pretty much pitch perfect. It just was like the perfect story arc. Started off a little slow. You're building, introducing you to the characters and the world. You hit the high point. You start going back down. I don't know. It was just like the perfect story arc and character arcs. There were a couple of conflicts within the story. First, you're trying to find out like who are these people that, you know, basically kidnap these clairvoyants every 10 years. What is the purpose? Who are they? Why are they here? What are they doing? And then you're also trying to find out if Paige is ever going to get back to London and her friends there. So that's really what's driving the story forward, but there's other mystery elements woven in as well. Since there were so many conflicts, there are a few resolutions, and I thought it was just a perfect ending to this book, but it definitely drives you to want to read the other books in the series. Currently, there is only the Mime Order out, but then the Rising Song, something. But the 3rd book does come out this March, I believe, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm currently reading the Mime Order because I enjoyed this so much. So you're trying to find out what's going to happen next. Will such and such continue? There's so many things driving you to pick up the rest of the books in the series. So I really enjoyed this and I gave it 5 stars. The second book that I picked up in December was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. If you do not know, this is my first read-through of the Harry Potter series. I really enjoyed the first 2 books. I enjoyed this 3rd one as well. The 3rd one really does have darker elements woven into the story. You're also getting to know characters more. You're getting to learn deeper things within the story. But Harry Potter is 13 years old now. He had to spend another summer with the Dursleys, who are these horrible people that he has to live with because his mother and father are dead. But he starts off there, and again, this is where the fat phobia comes in because the Dursleys are bad and Dudley is bad and they're fat. And then also Uncle Vernon's sister Marge comes to visit, and Harry Potter cannot contain himself for another minute. He inflates her and she turns up into this big huge balloon. Harry Potter has used magic outside of Hogwarts, so he is fearful that he is going to get in trouble, so he takes off in the middle of the night. Well, the school year begins and Harry Potter is not in trouble, but another year is upon him at Hogwarts with his friend friends, Hermione and Ron. And Hermione, there's something mysterious going on with Hermione. She seems to be super busy with all these classes that seem to be overlapping, and you're not sure how she's managing it all. It doesn't seem like she is managing too well. There's also Ron, who is battling with Scabbers, his pet rat, and he's acting strange, like what's going on with Scabbers, so there's something going on there. But also, of course, as the title says, there is a prisoner of Azkaban and he has escaped. It's Sirius Black, and he seems to be after Harry Potter for some reason. So Dementors are sent to Hogwarts to kind of protect the students and the school from Sirius Black. That becomes a constant stressor for Harry Potter and as the teachers of Hogwarts as well, to keep Harry safe. Other things that happen in this book, of course, there is Quidditch, there's the Marauders map, Hagrid has a new position at Hogwarts, which is a lot of fun. And as always, it seems like Professor Snape has something up his sleeve. It seems like he is hiding yet another secret. Of course, there were new characters introduced, and I really came to learn a little bit more about those characters towards the end of this book. And as the series continues, I'm sure I will get to know a little bit more about them. The majority of the setting itself is at Hogwarts. There's only a small little bit before he actually gets to Hogwarts. Like with where he's living with his aunt and his uncle. But overall, we learn more about Harry's parents and his family in general. And really, I mean, Harry Potter's really nothing short of perfect. Everything kind of gets wrapped up perfectly. The good guys win, the bad guys lose. It was a little bit slow paced and it was drawn out. And then there is the fat phobia that seems to be prevalent throughout the entire series. The last book that I picked up in December was Too Late by C. Hoover, which, yes, it is Colleen Hoover. So Too Late is definitely darker than her other stories. There are several reasons for that, including there's cheating, there's rape, there's drugs, there's violence, the language. The sexiness is more detailed and more graphic, and that was kind of a negative for me. It was unnecessarily so. And again, that goes with the language as well, just the choice of words used. And there is also some domestic abuse in this as well. Sloane lives with her dangerous and corrupt boyfriend because he provides financially for Sloane's younger brother's medical care. But fortunately for Sloane, two cops go undercover and they kind of join her boyfriend's like drug ring, and they're around the house a lot and they're trying to bust him basically. But one of them, Carter, falls in love with Sloane, and then of course Sloane kind of likes him as well. So it is a little bit insta-lovey, but kind of rightfully so. Sloane is treated like crap from her boyfriend. He doesn't treat her well at all. So when she finally gets some positive attention, she really likes that. So she's kind of liking Carter, and then Carter really likes her because she's drop dead gorgeous according to the story, and also she's that damsel in distress, and guys seem to go for that. Writing in the plot itself is very fast paced and intense. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. I was like, holy crap at points. Like, it just blew my mind. It did seem to go from bad to worse to even worse. It just was like, is it ever gonna end? In a good way, but at the same time it was like, wow, really? The two worst things I will say about this book is that it was overly graphic and detailed, and it didn't really need to be when it came to those sexual scenes. And there was this other thing between Sloane and her younger brother, but then it kind of went between Sloane and Carter, and it's where they write these random sentences you don't really think, you just write, and it's just these weird nonsensical sentences, and it kind of became like a fun thing between them. But it absolutely added nothing to the story and it made no sense. So I'm not really sure why it was even there. Maybe that's something that Colleen Hoover herself likes to do. Not really sure. But this story actually wasn't going to ever be published. I'm glad that it was, because I probably would not have read it if it was just on Wattpad. But this was like her intermittent project that she worked on just randomly, and now it's published. So towards the end, it's epilogue to the epilogue, and then it just kind of keeps going on and on and on for a few chapters. So I think it was like cleaned up a little bit, and maybe some of the details and graphic nature was taken out. It doesn't have to be dumbed down, but I just think the word choices could have been a little bit better, and it would have been maybe would have appealed to a greater audience. A lot of people haven't really enjoyed It Ends With Us or this one because of the insta love maybe, or the graphic nature of the topics, but I think darker themes are important to talk about. When I was reading this, it did remind me of the film. I don't remember the name of the film off the top of my head, but it's the one with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. It's like an older type movie where there's this whole FBI sting thing. And it's actually mentioned in this book, and I thought that was so funny because I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking about in my head. Overall, with, you know, even with the negative things, I still rated this 4 out of 5 stars because it did keep me on the edge of my seat, and it did deal with some very heavy topics that I think are important to talk about in literature and expose people to. Maybe, you know, not the best way to handle things, and I can't wait to read more from Colleen Hoover. So that concludes my December wrap up. I really did have a decent reading month despite being very busy in the month of December. But if you're interested to know what I'm going to be reading in January, I did make a post on my Instagram at Lavender Mud. I didn't make TBRs last year, and I'm probably not going to make them this year unless they're like for a readathon or something like that. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I have talked about and what your favorite book of December was. My favorite book of December was without a doubt The Bone Season, and that's why I have already chosen to read the Mime Order here in January. But I'll see you in my next video, guys. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Bye!